doing this video. We're pretty happy with our skinning of our character. I mean, yes, there are a few areas that we could tighten up, but on the whole, it appears to work quite well. Um, Bar perhaps a few very small areas that we might need to modify. But what we're going to look at now, we're going to start looking at admin our controls, which will basically be IK and FK kind of controllers. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to explain things a little bit. So at the moment, if we were to just select our rig and start rotating it, this is FK, otherwise known as forward kinematics. So we need to maybe look at the paint weights of that. But again, we can do that afterwards. That's not a huge deal. So forward kinematics, think of it kind of like an armature within a mechanical armature that you might have used for stop motion animation, I guess. So you can see there, you basically pause it up, rotate, maybe positional you'd maybe use if necessary, but generally it'd be rotation. You might, under odd sort of circumstances, you might need to use translational rotate. So yeah, this would be a very typical FK kind of rig where you'd just be rotating individual elements around, pausing it up, and frame for frame kind of keying it. That's generally an FK sort of setup, forward kinematic sort of setup. Think of it like an armature. Okay, go back to bind pause. Let's just drop down we'll leave it as default default rotation plane solver. So basically this is what's kind of important. We're just going to plop this down for the front leg, and if we go to Windows, and we've just created our first IK controller. Basically what this will do is if we move this, it'll just then start to put in the bend for us. So you can see there how this offers a lot more flexibility, and within this we would then start to look at adding what's called pole vectors to correct this which way it's bending. So that's the next thing that we'd look at. So this is the difference, predominantly this is the difference between IK and FK. You just move one controller to get a kind of quite a varied range of rotational values, which you can see what those are. And that actually puts it back to the bind pause. Back to 0, 0 world space. So what we're going to do is go back to bind pause, and we're going to draw this rotation plane solver. Just to explain what these are probably better for are generally joints or like limbs. So I'm going to use these for the front leg. And so we plot that one there. Hit G, last use command, and we're just going to plot that down there to there. So basically going from start of the limb to the bottom of the limb, and you can see there how we're just getting this little rotation there. I'm going to go modify and freeze transform after we've drawn those in, but again, it's not going to do a great deal. Again, let's look at this, and we'll do the same for this, because this is going to be working much that same sort of way, so we're getting that kind of motion. And same again for this. So rotation plane solver. We're using these for generally joints where they are getting this sort of bend, and it's basically this joint here and this joint here, and it's acting kind of like a hinge sort of effect. You can see that there. Just going to zero that out, so both back to the bind pose. And again, we can also add that in from the shoulder to the wrist. Sometimes people will model this, so we set up the arm with an additional joint here, so you can add in extra twist. That's fine, that's no real problem. And you can see there how we're getting like quite a nice range of motion from this. It's not too bad, no. It's pretty good. And again, hit G, last use command, just to this wrist as well. And again, you'll get exactly the same sort of results from that. Not too bad, pretty decent. So we've got 6 IK handles. The next thing that we need to do is create another IK, and this is single chain. So this is going to be set up on this leg and this leg. So basically what will happen is, let's select this and this and pull this around, and you can see there how you kind of control this and sort of grab this and you start to, you can see there how this is kind of rotating around it. So it's pretty useful. So this is how we're going to set up our the structure of our rig. So we'll basically plot down some very simple IK kind of tools here. Let's create another group, Command G, and this is just going to be called controls CDRLS. That's fine. And you can see there within that group we've got a series of little controls here. I'm just going to put this, I'm going to snap this to here. Hopefully it's not going to go mental. Snap it to there, so we've got it just at the side so we can see everything. Okay, so let's have a little look. And so we've started on our controls, our skeletal rig, and our mesh. So it's really important that we kind of work this through. The nice thing about this is if you wanted to add any additional things, we could just attach the skin and we could tidy this up if necessary, or do whatever. Add some drapes or add clothing, whatever. We could do that. Anyway, so what we'll do is we'll start looking at adding our first few controls. So generally, what would happen is we might create some curve controls. So this is going to be for the base of the foot. Let's just hide the polygons at the minute. We just want to be looking at this skeletal chain. So I'm just going to snap this curve to there, duplicate, Command D, snap to there, Command D, duplicate, Command D, duplicate. Pretty happy with that. And for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a cube and make cubes visible again. I'm just going to snap this to there, hit F. And what I'm going to do is slightly different for this one because we don't want to have the controls sort of clashing. We want these to be slightly more definable controls. So we're going to use circular shapes for the legs. I'm going to look at creating cube shapes for the arms, and then we'll look at locators perhaps for the pole vectors, which we'll be touching on and explaining what they do in a little bit. So what we're going to do is get the pen tool, set it to linear, and I'm going to hit 4, and I'm just going to snap. Is showing everything? Yep. Well, that worked a treat. Not. So yeah, so snap. There we go. That's better. Snap, 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 snap. I'm using SV to snap. I apologize for this huge V text element covering the screen. It's purely to see what we're doing. So I've actually missed out a little bit there. Yeah. Snap, 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 snap. 1, 2. There we go. We should have a full cube just of curve information, which we've got. Brilliant. So we've got a curve control in shape of cube, modify, center pivot. I'm just going to then snap this control to the wrist. Pretty happy with that. That's okay. It doesn't really have to be that big. I'm just going to hit Command D to duplicate it, and there we go. It's just on the wrist. Select the cube, select all the curves, and then go to Modify, Freeze Transform. I'm just going to duplicate one of the cube spheres. So make this bigger, and this is actually going to be the root control. I'm just going to scale it up, right click, Control Vertex, and we're just going to change the shape of this just so it's a little different to all of the other shapes. Just so it's just a little bit different. Okay, so rename this to root FL. Yeah, so this is front left control. FR CDRL. rear right, CTRL, rear left, CTRL. So it's basically front, left, front, right, rear left, right arm, CTRL, left arm, CTRL, and then root. So now what we'll do is, we've already got these controls, so we know that each of these are sort of positioned where they need to be. So on each of them individually, what we're going to do is hit Command G. I'm going to select a different IK handle. Command G, different IK handle. Command G, different one. Command G. I'm just deselecting. I'm making a new selection each time. Command G, Command G. So effectively, what we'll have is each of these. I'm going to isolate this selection to just this. So each of these groups are sort of parented. Each of these groups contain a control because these all have their own individual transforms. We kind of want to zero those transforms out. So I'm going to then hit D on the keyboard so I can change the pivot point. I'm going to snap that to. Actually, I need to turn the visibility of everything back on just so we can see this. Actually, what I need to do is hide polys. Of course, that's a little easier. So I'm just snapping that control there. D's still turned on. Snapping that point there. And snap this point here. Snap this point there. So now that this is up here, because it's highlighted, very clear. Highlighted. It's highlighted down here. We might need to change the structure of these a little bit because this is slightly different for the behind legs in that there's that extra joint to think about. So we've got this. Is that right? Yep, that's right. That's good. Yep. So that should be to there, and yeah, okay. Pretty good, pretty decent. Okay, so all of these individually will work on their own merit. The only thing we'll need to kind of do is look at this. Set up slightly different hierarchy to the other legs. So this group 7 needs to be parented to group 3. So select this joint, select group 7 and group 3. So 7 will command parent to group 3, P. Then we'll pull this, we should get this kind of stretching kind of motion. So it's effectively giving us a nice range of bends. We will be adding in a corrective shape. And when we zero this out, it will go back to sort of bind pose. So 8 and 4, hit P to parent, and you should get the exact same sort of thing. Brilliant, right? Show polygons. 5, let's see what we're getting. So let's just look at this. We are getting a little bit of a pop, but we'll kind of look at that in a second. So this is the kind of point that I was making. So see there, we've got this really nice little rotation, but we're actually getting a lot of, just by rotating something and moving it, we're getting the motion that we need within that. Okay, good stuff. So there's our controls kind of set up. Probably could do with name them. So group 1, front left. So let's select this, parent to group left. We could actually look at parent constraints, but I think that could be adding a new level of complexity to this, and maybe we'll look at that for another video. P to parent, so we've got this control. Rewrite to group 4 and rewrite. So group 4 to rewrite. P, group 3 to rewrite. Left, sorry, P. So each of these controls, curves, should effectively be in control of each one of these joints. So if I then select the left arm, and now select, so if I select this and left arm, so select this, left arm, hit P, and then this right arm, hit P. And if we look as well, really important, we've got all these controls which have 0 controls. When we hit 0 on them, they'll go back to where they're set up. But we also have all of this really cool, really useful rotation. However, there's one little thing that we need to look at and correct, is this sort of popping kind of thing. And you might think, oh, Chris, this looks weird. But the next stage will remedy this. So what we're going to do, just 0 those out, get them back. And the really important thing that we need to look at as well, when we use an IKs, is go to the side view and make sure that we have a slight angle from this top joint to the very bottom joint of the IK handle. So if we zoom in, you can see there is a very slight angle being created from this middle hinge joint. You can see that as well. From here to here, you can see that there is that angle being created from this. So these controls will be parented to the root, and then when we select the root, kind of the effect that we'll get. And then obviously we will be adding in that main joint as well. So that's something we can look at. So now the next thing to do is create a few controls to remedy this. So like I was saying before, how when we're moving this, we might get a weird little pop if we rotate this joint. It's not so bad on the back leg, it's very noticeable on the front. When you're kind of moving this around, you're getting this weird kind of twisting motion. So let's go to create locator down the very bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide polygons again. I just want to be working with the rig. Snap. Command D, snap. Command D, snap. Command D and snap. Command D and snap. So we've got 6 locators. And these are effectively going to be offset ever so slightly. Pull them back. And let's just go modify freeze transform. Select these two. These are the front. So basically what we're going to do is these locators are going to be used to correct any weird rotational offsets. So we're going to select both of these two. So we're going to select this one, parent it to this leg here. So you can see there, we'll select this, and we've got this full leg sort of set up. Hit Command P, go over this full leg setup. Select this leg, this full leg setup. Select this, go P, full little setup. Select this arm locator, Command P, Shift and P. So each of these each of these locators should be parented to a respective control. And those values should all be zeroed out on each of those individual locators. So there should be no translational rotation. They should all be set to 0. So the next thing to do is select the locator and select the IK. And then what we're going to do is constraint. So just right the way along the skin to form constraint. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a pole vector. So selecting this, leave everything as default. You won't actually have the option. It's going to create a default. So now, it's going to create a pole vector. So now you can see there, whichever way that this limb is kind of facing, you can see there how this is effectively twisting that limb. So it's setting the rotational value of that. So if we need to create any corrective sort of shapes, this is how we would kind of go about it. Let's just zero that out, that's good. So you select the locator, shift select pole vector, constraint, pole vector. Really, really easy. You might get like a weird little pop. You shouldn't do really. That could possibly because these aren't zeroed out, but on the whole, you shouldn't do. So select this, select the locator, shift select, constraint pole vector. Yeah, you can get a weird little pop there. It's not gonna. I think actually that did it as well. Let's zero that out. Sure, they're all zeroed out. So again, remember locator, pole vector. So locator, pole vector, G. You can get like a weird little thing. No biggie. Right, okay. It's because there's a very slight shift in translation. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly delete those, remove those pole vectors. I'll just quickly set that up. Yeah, so basically, this isn't now linked. Right, so what I'm going to do is just hide the polygons. I'm just going to snap to the polygon, snap to the polygon. And I'm just going to snap to the polygon and snap to the polygon. And then I'm just going to select each of these locators and then modify freeze transform. There we go. Right, so now locator, we shouldn't really be getting any kind of weird popping pole vector. So yeah, so it just has to be resting on the surface of the joint pretty much. Select the joint, G, and that's basically G locator, like this, G, locator, select the IK, hit G. So this is now set up. We shouldn't have had any weird kind of popping. It just basically has to be resting on, locator has to be resting on the position of the joint. All of these, again, really clear, and these have to be set, freeze transforms and set to 0 as well. So now what you should have is a series of very simple controls. Okay, we'll position this arm. Let's just quickly rotate this around. And this pole vector is acting as the elbow. Let's just say we want her hand to be on her sort of side, maybe. Let's grab this locator, position this. Let's grab these joints, just position this. Obviously we need a little bit of skin weight again, perhaps, but it's not no biggie. Let's just position this down. And if you do get any weird popping, generally your pole vector is where that would be remedied. That's where you would kind of correct that. So looking at all this, this is working quite well. It's working pretty effectively. So it's, on the whole, that's not bad. So we're just pausing this character up, see what we'll get. Not too bad. Getting some quite nice results with that. And I think what we'll do is in the next video, we'll look at adding our own custom controls. So let's say maybe create some custom controls, maybe make a face shape as well, character. As well, like there where this joint's kind of doing a weird popping type motion, like this is how you would basically orient this. You would keyframe all of these elements and position this based on that. So there we go. We are kind of getting some pretty decent definition from it. It's working quite well. What's really cool about the IKEA's work is because these feet now are effectively planted on the floor as well. So pretty important to sort of look at, and really, I think it's really useful to sort of understand that whole process with the work, because sometimes you don't get to see that. A lot of the time, people just look at the whole automated process of it and don't have a fully clear understanding of how to create a rig from scratch. And I think it's really important, especially with this character being quite complex. It's really useful for you guys. So yeah, and we can just start looking at posing this character up. Um, and yeah, what's really good about this is, so like I say, when we start coming to add custom controls and things like that, this is where we can start having a bit of fun with it. So let's say when we start to rig our characters and add in some custom controls, maybe she could be, um, she's she's really thirsty. And when we start adding these custom controls, we can automate a lot of things, such as, let's just say she's holding a can of, it's our Starbucks, and a quick swig on our Starbucks. It's a venti latte. I do quite like latte. Um, it's a bit tall maybe. It's a gallon of Starbucks that she's drinking. So maybe we want to change the pose of a hand. You might want to, because this is quite a relaxed hand. Let's say we might want to automate these controls so we can make like fist clenches, that kind of thing. And this is sort of how we might look to sort of do that with set-driven keys and things like that, creating our own custom controls. So there we go. That's kind of how we might sort of go about that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so the next video, what we'll do, we'll look at, we've kind of created our own very basic custom controls. The next thing would be adding more controls. So we'll look at creating a control shape for facial controls, maybe hand controls, how we'll go about that, and maybe adding our own custom controls for rotation, spreading of the feet, perhaps like individual rotation, things like that. And maybe the hair as well, something like that. We could perhaps look at. But there's quite a bit that we'll do. I think what might look at as well is some dynamic joints for the hair, that we don't have to animate the hair, and some dynamic joints for the tail as well. I think that'd be quite cool. So the next video, that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at adding our own custom controls. Okay, cool. Next video.